So, Murray, I'm interested in finding out a bit more about this experience that you had in Menergy.
Yeah, so the experience at Menergy was what started this the concept for this workshop. Well, the experience came out of another workshop. It was like a breathwork workshop when we were activating different centers, and uh, I was really excited about the activating the mind with breath work, and so after the workshop, in a small sharing circle with men, I was sharing that, and one of the men said, quite confrontingly, he said, I don't see how that is going to play out in your life in any real way.
Wow.
Words to that effect. And because he didn't feel it was alive in me, I guess. And so when I tuned in, I thought, oh yeah, I think I know what he means. I can feel like a place like down in my Dantian, in my energy center, where it was kind of not empowered. And so I shared back. I said, I think you're right. Can we work with this? What could we do? And so we all kind of came up with this idea that the men, there was five other men, that the other men would hold me down, and this was like a process work sort of thing, where they would hold me down and represent my block with this. And so they held me down, and my job was to try and get up, and I tried to get up, and I couldn't budge. I had one guy on my head, one guy on each arm, and one on each leg, and with their whole strength holding each limb and my head. And so I just, with every bit of energy I had, I tried to get up, and I couldn't budge. And I tried that maybe about 5 times, and I thought, I'm going to be out of energy. If I try that 2 more times, I'm done. And the guy at my head, he said, you won't get out of this if it's just for you. And he said, think of a big enough reason to get up. And so I immediately thought of my daughter Grace, our daughter, and this burning kind of resolve came into me that this was about me showing up for her, and if I was going to live not embodying this and just being talk and going on the way I have been, which is basically, kind of giving up on stuff, not following through. And it was like, well, if I go on with that, that's going to be my gift to her. That'll be what I show her. What is possible will be that you give up on stuff and you live with disappointment. And so there was this resolve of, no, that's okay for me. Like, I can deal with disappointment and I can do all that. But when it starts affecting me, those I love, that's when I realise, oh, this is not about me. This is how I am. People, that's the gift I give to others. And so that knowing kind of filled me up, every cell, and the next minute I was standing up. It didn't feel like I used my physical strength. I just got up, and I heard the guys holding me sort of go, whoa, like this, because some energy sort of got me up, and I think it was like what was that energy? I think it was like, because I was opening up to something outside of me, I became sort of a conduit rather than rather than using my energy. And so that was maybe the first time ever that I kind of connected with, I guess, the power of love. Like, and I realised, oh, it's so much stronger than anything we can generate in and of ourselves. and it was strong because it was for others, for the world. It didn't stop with me, so therefore it sort of I didn't have to hold it. A lot of energy could come through without me having to hold it because it wasn't for me. That's the way I make sense of it.
And it's interesting the fact that it was your daughter, Grace. I mean, that's sort of that's your legacy. That's beyond your lifetime.
Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting because after that, I realised well, I thought about what are the things that I do that light her up, and like there was music and there was art, and it was all the things I love, and that I thought that was interesting because it's like, oh, I don't have to change anything. I don't have to sacrifice and take on some other path that is someone else's path. I've just got to really commit in the same way that I committed to being for her in that moment. I just have to know that that's the reason that I do the things I do. It's not for me, it's for others, because, when you see someone do it, you say, oh, that's possible, and you get the gift of something being possible because someone else has done it.
So that's interesting. It sounds like for you being fully expressed with, your actual gifts, that's potentially the permission you give others to be fully expressed.
Yeah. And so I can see that that this can apply to everyone. If they have a dream and they know that they're not quite giving it everything, they can they can utilize the love that they have for others and devote that, because I think kind of we all stop a bit short when it's about ourselves, because it's like when I'm comfortable, I'll stop. I work for myself, so if I'm not earning enough, once I start earning enough, I'll stop because I'm comfortable. Whereas and that's about me. Whereas if earning enough has a bigger vision, and it's kind of like, well, I want this for my family, or I want this, I need to earn enough to create something in the world that's for something, And if that authentically connects with my love, then I won't stop at comfort. I won't stop at those personal boundaries. I'll take it further.
So my question now is how in this workshop that's coming up, and also in your daily life since this event, how have you been able to apply this practice? How?
Yeah, well, the thing is that, it's a corny sort of thing. Love will find a way. Like, it's what I'm really interested to share in this workshop, or really that I want to share, is it's not so. There are techniques, and there are techniques and practices that I'm learning and developing, but beyond and above all that, it is that once you connect with this power of love, it's a highly creative energy, and it tells me, it tells anyone that it's possible. And standing in it's possible, you sort of just go, well, now I just need to find it. I don't need to invent it. It's there. I know it's there. I just need to find it. So how it looks for me is like every day, in my morning meditation, I'll become clear. I'll use my Vipassana meditation to clear my mind and my energy, and then I'll start letting my mind connect with people in my life, and sometimes it's people that I've been contact with, in recent days in person, and then other times it's people will pop up from my past, and I'll get interested about how I'm feeling towards them, and generally when I wake up, I tend to feel a bit disconnected with most everyone. I don't know if everyone feels like that, but I do. It seems to be the way of it, and it takes a bit of time and a bit of inquisitiveness to sort of go, oh, how are they? How are they with me? And I've been using the practice of I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. In terms of, I guess it's like acknowledging a karmic connection with people. And I've started to realise that, there are a lot of karmic connections that I'm bound up in that I can be using this lifetime to actually resolve, to like finish and say like, I'm sorry, or I'm raging at you for some reason, I don't know why. It's this weird thing when we meet someone, we can just have this, like when dogs meet, they just, they growl at each other. I think humans aren't that different. For something that we don't consciously know, but there's a history there. So I'm getting in touch with what's going on underneath, and it's like when someone dies, you all of a sudden you're aware of how much you love them, and I think we would do ourselves a service to get in touch with that every day, not wait till people die. So it's sort of this practice of going, what do you actually mean to me, and if there's something in the way, if it's something I've done, I'm sorry, let's clear it. Like I'm willing to give up anything that's in the way of that love. I'll admit anything. I'm not holding on to being right, or this connection's what matters.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds a lot like these connections are paramount, and there's a lot of humility and grace in working in that way, on that level. Yeah. Taking the time to value connections.
Yeah. I mean,
the past and the present.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what it's all about, because I think we only struggle for power in light of not having a love connection, and when we get the love connection, we don't need to have power over anyone, so we don't need to be right about anything.
It's nice also that you've mentioned in that instance it was grace, but it's not grace every day that you're activated by.
Yeah.
It's a fluid thing. It's a dynamic thing. It's ever changing, and as does growth. It's a changing thing.
Yeah, so. That's right. And different days have different plans for us, I think, and it's also about getting in touch with, I might have my own ideas about the day, but what's the universe got planned today, and some days I'll be present to gratitude, and it's like, oh, today's about my love gets activated through my gratitude with others, and then some days it's like rage, and my love gets activated through a kind of a rage that I've been accepting, some sort of falseness or something like that in a relationship, and so I'll be like a tiger slashing it away and saying, I want to see you, and I'm sick of this, so it comes in all these different forms. So the workshop title is Love and Power. So it's not. I don't want to give the impression that love's like you're just walking around with rose-coloured glasses. I think love can take any form that it needs to, to presence truth and to presence connection.
And it's also it sounds quite. It can be quite simple. It's not that you have to go and actually do much other than bringing your sincerity and consciousness to these connections and, whatever it's evoking in you. Yeah, that sounds a practical practice.
Yeah, and it's day and night when the activation happens, like a love connection. There's possibility, and I know when that's, life happens and my habits get triggered and whatever, and it's usually after a night's sleep. I'll wake up and things aren't possible. Like this workshop, I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Who am I to try and run this? And then once I activate that love connection, I'm in, oh, it'll be fine. I'm actually unstoppable because this isn't about me. It's going to be great because that's all I need to, share with people and explore. So I don't have to know.
It sounds tantric, of the most practical, humble form.
I'm. You remember the Greatest American Hero? It was like he found this superhero suit that gave him these powers, but it didn't have a manual to go with it. So he kind of had something, and he could fly and everything, but it didn't have the manual to tell him how to land. So he'd always, crash. I feel a bit like that. So I'm really excited to share it with people because I think everyone. This is not a unique or exclusive experience. I'm sure of that, and I think people will relate to it when we talk about it, and they'll go, "Oh yeah, I know what you mean," and I've felt that, and I want to feel it more. But sometimes it's there, and then sometimes it isn't. I want people to have that feeling of, oh, I know how to access that every day. And if you knew how to access it every day, why wouldn't you? You'd spend the time. But I was going to say, I think there's also a skill and a practice to then connecting up. So at the moment, like this love connection happens, but I think we can mold that. I think we can say, well, okay, I'm about, this is what I'm, up to in my life. I'm creating this, or I'm creating that. I'm a musician. How do I bring that love connection and then channel that through my music or through my business, or and I think that's another level that's kind of taking shape. And for me, it's about sharing this work. And so I'm going to be bringing that question to the workshop of how do I sharpen that a little bit to okay, yeah, there's a love connection, but I need to really, I guess, really refine what's the purest, most potent expression that I can bring into the world, that in service of this energy.
Okay, well, that might be a good place to wrap up. And any other details? Can you give us the details as to when the workshop is and where?
So it's Saturday the 18th, 10 o'clock till 5 o'clock at Peace Farm in Yarra Junction.
And how can people get tickets for this event?
It's on my Facebook page, Murray Goodchild. It's on the Peace Farm page, and there's an event, the love. What is it? The Trust,
Love, Power.
Trust,
Love, Power. Yeah, that's it.
Workshop. And there's a ticket link there.
Lovely. And the cost of this workshop?
Early bird, which is, I think, might finish this weekend, is, I think, 70 and 80 maybe. 70 concession, 80 full, and then after that it's 80 concession, 90 full, I think. But if you get on the site, you'll find that.
Lovely. Thanks, Murray.
Thanks, Vix.
I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yay, come along if this speaks to you. I'd love to have you there.
Bye.